None of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. Ready to do this, show you what the truth is. I step on the field, it's time to get real, and I'm feeling so ruthless. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Yeah. So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. Get in the game, your moment of fame, show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up, it's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up. My time, nothing can keep me from reaching the top. This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to rise. I'm ready to throw down, it's time for the showdown. I'm ready to rise, don't be surprised, I'll take on the world now. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We reaching the top, we reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We reaching the top, we reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up, I'm never going back down. Hand over my heart, I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
Anytime you can have a product that that can truly change someone's life, I think that's an incredibly powerful product. I can't tell you how long we put into research and development for this. Most liquid carnitine is around 1,500 milligrams. We have a 2,000 milligram blend of 4 different types of liquid carnitine. We also have GBB, so you're actually going to be burning fat after you consume this product. This is going to make you sweat. This is going to make you not want to stop. You are going to perform like you've never performed before, and I can promise you that.
Live from the virtual Michigan International Speedway, welcome sim racing fans to the Core Racing League Premier Series live on Racecraft TV. Happy that you all could join us on this beautiful Sunday evening. I'm
all right, real quick, guys, for the guys that aren't in Discord.
Alongside is Jordan Hicks. And Jordan, tonight is going to be a fairly exciting night as we are putting the NASCAR Gen 6 Cup cars, the current Cup cars, onto the Michigan International Speedway. It's going to be a really exciting race as this might be the first really normal car track combo and the only car track combo that these guys are really that used to for the entire season.
You know, I'm really excited, and so these cars are going to go really quick. They're known to going at least over 200 miles plus, and so I'm excited to see how these drivers can steer these things.
And qualifying just wrapping up, and there was a random invert as well to the starting positions that we'll see what the results of that will be once we get going here at the virtual Michigan International Speedway. But 20 drivers have qualified, one lap qualifying, a bit different than usual here for the Core Racing Premier Series, as we get ready and raring to go here for the virtual Michigan International Speedway. Heading into tonight's race is a bit of a shake-up in terms of the points standings, as only a handful of races remain before that playoff cutoff occurs, which is coming up in only a handful of rounds. We have tonight here at the virtual Michigan International Speedway, and then we will cut off the field for the playoffs, which will begin in 1 week's time with the Xfinity cars at the Five Flags Speedway. So remember, after tonight, we are going to lock in the top 12 drivers and go racing in the playoffs. Heading into tonight's race, grabbing a look at your current point standings. Right now, there are 10 drivers with clenched playoff spots. The 2 of Nick Nickerson, the 18 of Carl Handwerk, both with 4 wins. Mettler, Jones, Foster, Smith, Covert, Butler, Crockett, and Platt all are currently clenched into the playoffs. From there, Mark Thomas and Eric Andrews do not have a guaranteed spot, but they sit in on points right now in 11th and 12th. Tim Thompson, John Crane, Chris Hamilton, Paul Owens, Derek Sherman, Willie Evernham, Dylan McDonald, and David Castelli on the outside looking in to try and get a spot. Also, from there, if you recognize the Core Vintage Cup Series that we broadcast here every Monday night, coming up tomorrow night is going to be their cutoff race from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So it is all playoff talk in the Core Racing League right now. And we're getting ready to go racing here at the virtual Michigan International Speedway. We'll take a look at your starting grid, but remember, random invert can change this starting grid up. But we'll take a look and see the results from qualifying here at the virtual Michigan International Speedway. Grabbing that top spot, Carl Handwerk in the 18. Bennett Allen to his outside in second place. Eric Andrews, Adam Jones, Christopher Hamilton, your top 5. Kevin Foster, Wesley Fuller, Tim Thompson, Jimmy Covert, and Mason Smith round out your top 10. Derek Sherman, Dylan McDonald round out the top 12. Taking a look at the rest of your leaderboard. Jimmy Covert, Mason Smith, of course, round out the top 10. Then Mark Thomas, Paul Owens begin out from 13th on back. Matt Crockett, Paul Butler, Joshua Bellitter, David Castelli, Patrick Cooney, and Zachary Green round out your 20 cars getting ready to take the green flag. And Jordan, looking at the grid, you can recognize one name not on there. Nick Nickerson, not qualifying for this race, not showing up to the session. He's clenched into the playoffs. This is the first time we're going to see a race without the 2-car this season.
You know, definitely we know him for a lot of nice moves, diving into the corners, especially here at Michigan from last week with the Vintage Cup Series. And so it's going to be interesting, but that just means someone else could come out on top here tonight. But we still got Carl Handwerk there, so it's going to be an interesting one tonight.
Field getting ready to roll off behind the iRacing pace car as these drivers get raring and ready to go. This is going to be an exciting night of action here from the virtual Michigan International Speedway. Now, here comes where the invert happens, and it looks like the invert is going to be the top, I believe, top 8. Roughly, no, actually more than that. I believe top 11. Dylan McDonald. Yes, top 11. Dylan McDonald will start on the pole. Mark Thomas, Paul Owens, Matt Crockett, Paul Butler, Joshua Bellitter, and more will make their way up to the front. And while they do that, we'll grab a look at your race analysis here from the virtual Michigan International Speedway. 60 laps on the docket for tonight. Pit window 22 to 25 laps with one fast repair for each of these drivers to use as we get raring and ready to go here from the virtual Michigan International Speedway, ready to go green. Jordan, with no Nick Nickerson in the field, who are you watching as a possible favorite for tonight?
You know, I always say if not Nickerson, I gotta go Carl Handwerk. But, you know, I want to keep my eyes on Dylan McDonald in the 38 because when it comes to Michigan, at least from what I've seen, you know, he's really quick, but we're in the Cup cars now, so anything can change here tonight.
Getting ready to go racing from the virtual Michigan International Speedway. Everybody looking forward to this one. 3-wide salute, traditional of the Core Racing Premier Series, and we're getting a great look at it now as they roll down the front straightaway at the Michigan International Speedway. Not going green this time. They will wait for the 3-wide salute to salute all of you wonderful viewers here on Racecraft TV that tune into the Core Racing Premier Series every single week. We will be going green flag racing this time by, but they will do a full lap 3-wide to salute the wonderful fans of the Core Racing Premier Series. Playoff talk is everything right now, as this is the final race before the playoffs begin. Next week with the Xfinity cars at 5 Flags, we begin the trek to crown a champion in this series. 10 drivers currently clenched in. 4 drivers on the outside looking in. Everybody down from there gonna need to win if they want a spot in the playoffs. Pace car is already down, but now in control of the field after the invert of 11 cars is your leader now. The 38 of Dylan McDonald getting ready to send the field off in turn number 1 and get the night started. One more opportunity for drivers to qualify themselves into the playoffs. Who will be able to get it done? Dylan McDonald in control of the field, and we are underway. Already an incident back straightaway here at the Virtual Michigan International Speedway. More cars being collected. I believe that was Eric Andrews who got into another car. The number 6, Mason Smith, involved in this one. Joshua Belitter also involved. Mason Smith, Wesley Fuller, the 05 at Tim Thompson as well. Started on the back straightaway. What led to this one? Contact between the 3 and the 68 there.
I'm interested because it looked like the rear of the 3 lifted up in the air. You can see him sort of just everything goes wrong for him, but what a way to start a race. Pretty sure that was lap 2, and we're already going to our first caution. So not what some people wanted that got collected in it, but hope to see them come back out for the next green flag.
And we'll see if anybody is going to be an early taker into the pit lane. Not expecting anybody to make their way in, but always interesting to see if anybody will elect to do so. Will anybody make their way in? Don't believe so at this stage, but anything can happen. We'll see if somebody will. Doesn't look like anybody does. So, staying out on the racetrack is all of your leaders. A handful of cars coming in towards the back, but majority of your field staying out on the racetrack. First caution of the night here in the Core Racing Premier Series from the Virtual Michigan International Speedway. We'll take a break, but don't go anywhere. More green flag action when we return.
We needed more.
More from our bodies.
More from our minds.
So we went on a mission.
To study the top level of performance across every competitive playing field.
To find what fuels the highest level of athletes, businessmen, and gamers.
Through intense trials across every competitive landscape, we found that there were 5 undeniable principles that help your body operate at the highest level of peak performance all the time.
Focus. The ability to visualize and execute with precision. Focus is the single most important component when it comes to performance.
We combined multiple choline sources, including alpha GPC, choline bitartrate, along with L-tyrosine to help boost mental performance.
Recovery.
We need to take you from 5% to 100% as fast as possible. Bounce back with nourishing BCAAs.
For body and mind. Energy.
Fuel to get the job done. Answer the bell with confidence that you'll be able to attack with energy and intensity.
We mix a blend of instant and sustained release caffeine to light a fire with
300 milligrams of GO.
Stamina.
The willpower to see it to the end.
But true stamina is coming back day after month after year. We incorporated L-carnitine to deliver energy on a cellular level, with betaine anhydrous and taurine augmenting those effects.
Hydration. Sports science was built on hydration, and it's no secret why.
That's why we added a blend of electrolytes to help sustain performance. We tried all of the other energy drinks. They may help you stay awake, but not much else. We combined all 5 pillars of performance into one single form.
Focus.
Recovery.
Energy,
Stamina.
and hydration. We call it Refresh Technology.
And it delivers more.
Welcome back to the Virtual Michigan International Speedway. Getting ready to remain racing here and go back to green flag action from the Virtual Michigan International Speedway. Leading the way, it's Dylan McDonald, Paul Owens right behind, Mark Thomas, Matt Crockett, Patrick Cooney. Your top 5. Single file restart as we go back to racing from the Virtual Michigan International Speedway. We'll go on board with Paul Owens. Owens in the 91 trying to catch up to your current race leader out in front of the 38 of McDonald. Here comes Owens to the inside.
It almost seemed like the 38 of McDonald either checked up or had to slow down for some sort of reason, because going into one, you know, the 91 of Paul Owens got by him really easily, but you can see him running the outside, trying to catch back up, but it seems like the 91 remains P1 coming out of turn 4 here at Michigan.
Great move to the lead for Owens. Now McDonald still right on the back bumper. Here comes Mark Thomas in the 50 there as well. Looking behind and lurking there in third, looking for a way around. A battle for the lead currently holds these 3 cars up here at the front. All separated by about 3/10. There goes the second place, Mark Thomas in the 50. Great move to move his way up to P2. Working lap 8 of 60. They'll come across the start-finish line to head on to lap number 9. As they race off of turn number 4. Huge draft down the front straightaway here at the Michigan International Speedway. You can see the 91 almost on the back bumper, the 50, and a huge closing rate for Mark Thomas in the 50. He dives down to the inside, looking for the lead on McDonald. He's going to take the lead on McDonald, but only for a moment. Here comes back on the outside Dylan McDonald in the 38, looking for the lead once again.
It's going to be interesting to see if the 91 and the 38 can use that draft to their advantage, but the 50 is right there running the inside line as the 38 sort of dives down, leaving the 91 up at the top. And we are coming out of turn 4, and it seems like the 38's got a pretty good lead so far, as the 50 is below the apron. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do if he can get that lead back. And he's going to go and dive it to the bottom. And it just seems like, Josh, when you get up to the top line in turn number 1, you sort of get stuck there and you're just left there.
Multi-groove racing is something that we talk about relatively often here in iRacing, but it doesn't seem like it's happening yet here in this race. Paul Owens, a huge wiggle out of the 91, has to get out of the gas. He went all the way up to the outside of the racetrack trying to save that car, and he does. But now he's going to lose a bit of ground to the rest of the field. Carl Andrick, who qualified on the pole before the invert happened, currently working in the 5th spot, trying to work his way back up to the front of the field. So we're on board with Handwork.
You can just see him working the wheel of the Cup car. And Josh, we know him for very slowly creeping up back up on the leader no matter what happens to him. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do here at Michigan. And the last time we were here for the Vintage Cup Series, we saw him do so. And it's really amazing to see how experienced he is. And you can just see him running the bottom line so easily, just following the pack of cars in front of him. As they're going into turn 1, he's going to dive it to the bottom, see if he can make up some ground on the 10 car of Matt Crockett, and he remains behind him. But now he's got a draft he can use that he hopefully can pass somebody in turn 4 with.
Trying to use that draft. Carl Handwork in the 18. Your top 4 all gained spots from the invert of top 11 at the beginning of the race while they were rolling off of the grid. Handwork originally qualified on the pole, had to go all the way to the back per the invert, and now worked his way back up into 5th, trying to poke into more of the drivers from that top 11 invert. But taking a look here at your leader, Dylan McDonald in the 38, running some pretty consistent lap times out there on the track. We'll see his lap time comparison in between him and second place Mark Thomas. And Jordan, it just looks like with those two drivers pretty much trading back in 4th there. Lap 11, Thomas was a little bit quicker, but last time by, running pretty even lap times. We'll see as they update for lap 13 who is going to be faster. And there we go. McDonald faster once again by about 0.154 seconds on second place Mark Thomas.
These are the two to seem to be watching out for tonight, as they both seem really consistent right now. But Josh, when we get up into that window of, I think it was the pit window of 20 to 25 laps. So these tires can wear out pretty easily, especially in these cup cars, because of how fast you're going and depending on where you're running in the track. So it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers, especially the 38 of McDonald and the 50 of Thomas, as we come down to those laps leading up to that first pit window.
And a couple cars did decide to pit under the yellow flag, the last yellow flag that we had on the racetrack. Don't believe anybody really got a lot out of that. They're still going to need to pit in pretty much with the rest of the field. So not much help there from those drivers by pitting, but we'll see if anything gets affected by that and when the rest of the field is going to make their way down into the pit lane for their stops. But grabbing a look at your timing tower there. Great run currently from Mark Thomas as he gets by Dylan McDonald for the lead. Now sits in the first spot. McDonald with a mirror full of Paul Owens in the 91 trying to work his way around. And Owens in the 91 right on the Mac bumper goes down to the inside for the spot, looking to take it. Owens on the inside, trying to roll down there. The bottom line here at Michigan, that very bottom seam, is actually a different banking than the rest of the corner here at the Michigan International Speedway. So it's a little bit more difficult to roll that very bottom lane. But if you're able to do it, Jordan, it's a huge advantage. And the 38 of McDonald makes contact with the 91. Owens slides up the racetrack, both able to keep it under him. But contact between those two. Here comes Carl Handwerk now to pounce on Dylan McDonald.
And this is what we're looking for. We're going to see how Handwerk gets it done as he's diving into the bottom line, and he's going to get, I'm pretty sure he's getting two positions right now on the 38 of McDonald and the 91 of Owens. And there he goes up into P2, and now it's the chase is on. You can see a replay right now, just Handwerk diving it down to the bottom, keeping it there. And you can just see the 91 trying to fight for P2 once again, and Handwerk just remains victorious on that battle.
A fantastic move from the 18 of Carl Handwerk there to take the second spot away. Still trying to work his way up to the lead if he is able to do that, and still has Paul Owens pretty close behind as they work their way through turns 3 and 4 and back to the front straightaway. See exactly how fast Handwerk is lapping compared to the current driver we are on board with of Mark Thomas in the 50. Taking a look at those lap time comparisons. And Handwerk lapping pretty much every lap faster than Mark Thomas in the 50. Tires starting to wear off. They're down about 2 seconds on lap times, as you can see, entering the 40-second range, but Jordan still, Handwerk, etching away at that gap between him and Mark Thomas.
You can just see him in the rear view of Mark Thomas. He's just slowly making his way up there. But, you know, Thomas running a really good race right now. But like you said, tires are going to start getting to these drivers. And, you know, it could lead for anything. Handwerk could get up to the lead. Tires could mess him up, drop him back down. Who knows what happens here at Michigan?
Working lap 20 of 60 on the day. About a third of the way through tonight's race here for the Core Racing Premier Series. Field works back down the back straightaway. Handwerk trying to catch up to the car in front. We'll look back to a battle for 6th place. Bennett Allen versus Adam Jones. And Allen running the top line here at the Michigan International Speedway. We'll see if that helps him out. Didn't on that corner through turns 3 and 4. He will stay his way in the 7th position as we jump back up to the front in the battle for the lead. Handwerk has closed that gap, but so has Paul Owens in the 91. Both of them are now there looking for the lead here at the Michigan International Speedway. Top 3 separated by about 4/10 as they dive back to turn 3.
You can see Handwerk just itching closer and closer to the 50 of Mark Thomas. and he is about to get on the rear bumper. So it's going to be interesting to see if Owens can catch up and they can possibly use a draft in order to take over the positions from Mark Thomas. You can see the 18 of Carl Handwerk going right on the bumper. And it seems like they had to check up a little bit, which they remain all in the same position as the 91 of Owens tries to go for a pass on the 18 on the high line. And it seems that Handwerk is going to keep it. But they're side by side right now going to turns 3 and 4.
Handwerk back to the inside to complete the move. Owens went to the outside, which doesn't seem to be the dominant line here at the Michigan International Speedway tonight. So Handwerk going to hold on to P2. Going on board with Carl Handwerk as he tries to chase down your leader, Mark Thomas in the 50 up front. Dives it to the inside, looking for the lead is Handwerk. Covering that spot off is Mark Thomas. Handwerk all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. Not going to work for him as he tries to slide back up. Almost makes contact with the 91 of Owens. Owens made contact with the wall there for a moment. Able to hold on to it as the field works back through turns 3 and 4. Mark Thomas in the 50. Is he coming into pit road? No, he's not. Yes, he is. So green flag pit stops are beginning. I saw a couple of drivers start to dive into pit lane right now. Of your leaders, Mark Thomas and Bennett Allen are in. Handwerk stays out on the racetrack. Back into turn number 3. Who more of these leaders are going to come into the pit lane is what I am now wondering. Handwerk is going to be the next one to make his way in. Now Adam Jones is going to assume the lead. Owens is in, McDonald in, Crockett in, Christopher Hamilton is in. So a lot of drivers now working their way into the pit lane. And pretty expected at that. Jones, Foster, Sherman, and Bellitter now the only cars out on the racetrack. And they all pitted during that first caution. So we'll see exactly how much longer these drivers can hold on to these positions and stay on the racetrack by pitting under that first caution. But Handwerk exiting pit road now in the 18. Adam Jones in the 46 still leading. He might put Carl Handwerk a lap down here. It's going to be close. Off of turn 2. They put Owens a lap down. They're not going to put Handwerk a lap down. Handwerk stays ahead of this group. Working now, lap 27 of 60. Green flag pit stops just about concluded here at the virtual Michigan International Speedway. We'll grab a short break here on Racecraft TV, but don't go anywhere. You will go side by side to keep watching all the green flag action from the virtual Michigan International Speedway. Don't go anywhere. More action when we return.
We've been waiting for this moment. Generations of innovation all coming together in one place. A pedigree of more than 70 years of NASCAR Cup Series history, from the past to the present, from Petty to Earnhardt to Elliott. Today, there's no more waiting. The future of NASCAR is now. Drive the next-gen cars today on iRacing and step into the next generation of racing.
Welcome back to the virtual Michigan International Speedway. A change for the lead under the pit stops. Mark Thomas was able to overtake Carl Handwerk in the pit lane. Now Handwerk has to work his way back to the back bumper of the 50 and take that lead back. And that gap not close by any means. About 0.2 now separate your top two of Thomas and Handwerk. He is closing in, albeit a little bit slowly for Carl Handwerk in the 18. On board with him now.
You can just see how calm he's actually turning that steering wheel. He's slowly catching the 50 of Mark Thomas, diving it down to the inside. But it seems like the 50 of Mark Thomas is running a better line right now, because it just seems like he's pulling away on Carl Handwerk.
Gap remaining roughly the same as they head back through turns 3 and 4 and back to the front straightaway. Officially halfway done with this race now. So we'll take your Racecraft TV midway race break here on Racecraft TV. You're watching the Core Racing Premier Series live on Racecraft TV. The final round before the playoffs here for the Premier Series at the virtual Michigan International Speedway. Mark Thomas currently leads the way. Carl Handwerk in second place. You're watching that battle for the lead right now. Bennett Allen sits in third. Mason Smith fourth. Paul Owens rounds out your top 5. Dylan McDonald, Adam Jones, Chris Hamilton, Matt Crockett, and Kevin Foster rounds out your top 10. In 11th place, it is Eric Andrews, Jimmy Covert in 12th, David Castelli, Paul Butler, and Derek Sherman round out your top 15, with Patrick Cooney, Joshua Bollitter, Zachary Green, Tim Thompson, and Wesley Fuller rounding out your entire field. Tim Thompson and Wesley Fuller off of the racetrack. Still battling for the lead. It's Mark Thomas and Carl Handwerk down the back straightaway here on lap number 32. Back to the back straightaway, fighting for the lead. 2 lead cars of Mark Thomas and Carl Handwerk. Thomas also entering this race. I had to check it a couple of times. Thomas is not technically locked into the playoffs. Sitting in 11th place right now, in on points by about 45. But he is not locked in. With this win, if he's able to beat Carl Handwerk to the checkered flag, will lock himself into the playoffs and ensure that he will race for a championship. But here comes Handwerk now to the inside.
It's going to be interesting to see how the 50 of Mark Thomas can battle him off. And like you were saying, Josh, it would be a huge win for Thomas to get here in the Premier Series. But, you know, Carl is one of those drivers where if you beat him, you got to give yourself a round of applause, because he's probably the most hardest racer I've watched, definitely here on iRacing, in a while.
They work their way back through turns 3 and 4. Just not able to get there yet is Mark Thomas. Is Carl Handwerk. It's just right on the back bumper of Mark Thomas. He could be possibly buying his time, but we know Carl Handwerk loves to be out in front and lead the way. So he is trying to work his way around your current leader of the race, which is Mark Thomas out in front. Heading into tonight's race, obviously, everybody talking about the playoff cutoff that is happening at the end of this race, and a considerable amount of drivers are currently locked in. A considerable amount of drivers also currently on the outside looking in to possibly make their way into the playoffs. Right now, there is not a handful of drivers close enough that are currently not locked in to get that win. Closest right now, obviously, is your leader, Mark Thomas, who currently sits on the bubble, but he is in the top 12 just on points, but he is in the bubble right now. Carl Handwerk obviously locked in, 4 wins on the season. Bennett Allen is locked in. Bennett Allen is on the outside looking in, not even on the bubble, further down than that, sitting in 3rd place, but he has a long way to go if he wants to catch up to these leaders. Adam Jones and Kevin Foster round out your top 5, both locked in. Then you have to go down to Paul Owens and Dylan McDonald, 2 drivers who are not locked in and are not on the bubble, so they have a long ways to go. Still watching this battle for the lead as it has not settled down, but also hasn't really gone anywhere, as at the moment, still out in front, it's Mark Thomas. We'll take a break from this battle. Up to a battle further back, Adam Jones versus Bennett Allen. Jones takes over that spot in the 46 to go up to P3.
You can see the 24 is right on the 46. Interesting to see on if he's going to run the lower line to try and get the pass. And I think he was into it a little too late if he wanted to get it, so he's going to remain behind the 46 of Jones, as Jones seems to be pulling away a tiny bit from the 24. So interested to see eventually if those two can draft and work together to hopefully catch up to the top 3. Well, the rest of the pack.
And here comes, towards the back of this pack, Kevin Foster in the 8th. There's a lapped car of the, believe that was, yes, the 6 of Mason Smith, who is, I believe, just came down into the pit lane only a handful of laps ago. He did. So he is trying to work his way back up towards the front at the moment. As we said on lap number 39, he came in on lap 33 for fresh Goodyear tires and some Sunoco fuel. Down the front straightaway comes your 2 leaders trying to fight for the lead right now. Diving it back into turn number 1. Now you will notice left side of our timing tower, you will see 3 colors, or actually technically 2 colors, either red, yellow, or transparent. Red means that they are on the bubble looking into the playoffs. Yellow means they are locked into the playoffs. And transparent means that they are nowhere even near that playoff cutoff line. First taker of the drivers that pitted during the first green flag stop, technically 2 now, as Paul Owens comes in. He slides it in the 91. But he comes in, so this means that drivers are now pitting from that first green flag stops with 20 laps to go. When will the 2 leaders make their way in? It's been Thomas and Handwerk battling since the green flag stops ended. There goes Thomas coming in the 50. Drivers are good to the end if they pit now, and that seems to be the common theme among the field. Handwerk expected to come in next. When will he pull the trigger and come down into the pit lane is the question. Handwerk still leads the way. Now Bennett Allen takes over second place in the 24. Back into turn 3 for Carl Handwerk. Is he going to bring in his Raze Energy Chevy Camaro in this time? Yes, he indeed will. Here comes the 18 down into pit lane.
It's going to be interesting to see what he actually does, Josh. Like what strategies he does, depending on how many tires he takes, what amount of fuel he takes. But like you said previously, these drivers are good till the end. So once again, I'm interested to see how Carl Handwerk is going to take this pit stop.
And we'll watch the pit stop for the 18 of Carl Handwerk and see exactly what he is going to do. Now, the interesting thing is, obviously we saw in the Core Racing Vintage Series here last week on Monday, a 2-tire stop, much like that. 2 right side tires for Carl Handwerk and right back onto the track. That is the exact strategy we saw on Monday night. Carl Handwerk, Jordan, is taking a page out of the Vintage Cup Series book from last week.
Now this is going to be interesting because I'm pretty sure it was Kevin Foster who won that race that night with that strategy, so I'm interested to see if the 18 is going to be able to catch up and do the same.
I am making sure that I do get the winner correct before I do say exactly who won that race. Yes, it was Kevin Foster who got the win. And Carl Handwerk actually got second place to Kevin Foster that night. And guess who's in the lead now? The 8 of Kevin Foster. Everything is coming around almost perfectly. 16 to go from the virtual Michigan International Speedway. More drivers starting to come in. Bennett Allen comes in. Paul Butler comes in. Now Handwerk will come around to take the lead whenever Kevin Foster and Jimmy Covert come in. Now, Foster and Covert both are not good to the end. They do need to pit. It is not a thing of can they stay out. It is a thing of they need to pit. When will they pit is the question. Does Foster come in this time by? No, he doesn't. He stays out on the racetrack. Covert, will he come in this time in the 14? 15 laps to go now as Foster crosses the start-finish line. No pit stop from Covert either. Kevin Foster leads the way as he has not came in to serve his pit stop just yet. Will he serve it this time by? He does need to come in. There's no possible strategy that will have him stay out on the racetrack until the end of this race. So he does need to pit. I think a lot of drivers who want their lap back are waiting for him to pit. Here comes Covert. Covert draws the line. And he pitted on lap 23, I believe. So he held that car until the absolute breaking point of the fuel window. When will Foster come in? Foster came in last on lap 27, so he extended his first fuel run by quite a bit. He's only coming to 20 laps since his fuel run right now. So he can stay out, Jordan, for about 3 or 4 more laps before he needs to come in.
I'm curious to see if this is just for him to make up ground on P2, which is Carl Handwerk, and I'm pretty sure soon they're going to be running the same setup within their pit stops, and you can see Handwerk pretty far behind, but as we were saying, that 8 car needs to come into the pit lane within these next 3 laps in order if he wants to even be up to the top, because we only have about 11 to 12 laps to go here at Michigan.
Time starting to run out here at the virtual Michigan International Speedway as we enter 12 laps to go. Kevin Foster in the 8 leads the way. Handwerk in second place. And Carl Handwerk 26 seconds back, but gaining time every single lap on the 8 of Kevin Foster. They'll work their way back to the front straightaway. Is Foster going to come in? Yes, he does. So Foster now into the pit lane. That will move Carl Handwerk back to the lead once he comes around.
I'm pretty sure we're going to see the same thing from Foster in the pit lane. That 2-tire strategy. And so the 18 car and the 8 car are going to have a pretty good battle, depending on how fast Foster comes out of the pit lane.
Foster still in, taking right side tires. Is he just going to take right side tires? No, he goes for 4. So that will put... No, he does go for 2. Stayed in the box a little bit longer to finish out that fuel can, I believe. 11.22 the stop time. A 10.07 stop time for Carl Handwerk. So that puts Handwerk now at the front of the field. Adam Jones, Bennett Allen, Kevin Foster, Paul Owens now your top 5. Foster going to fall down into 6th as he exits the pit lane. There goes Dylan McDonald around the outside with Chris Hamilton, Matt Crockett. But leading the way, Carl Handwerk with 10 laps to go.
And you can just see he's got about a 5-second gap on P2, which is the 46 of Adam Jones. So 10 laps to go here at Michigan. Definitely not a lot of time considering these lap times are not that long. So it's going to be interesting to see how long the 18 can hold up. But, you know, anything can happen here within that 10 lap to go range.
We enter 9 laps to go. And we'll go on board with Carl Handwerk for a lap, show you the exact speed here at the Michigan International Speedway. Making it look easy out there is Carl Handwerk in the 18 as he leads the way here from the virtual Michigan International Speedway. Remember, tomorrow night we'll be here for the Core Racing Vintage Series. Sorry, Jordan.
No, I was just going to speak on, you know, Handwerk got a little close to that wall right there in, I'm pretty sure that was turn 4. Wasn't too sure. But, you know, he seems to be running some pretty good laps right now, running about the lower line. So, and he still got a 6-second lead. He gained on the 46 of Adam Jones. So 8 laps to go. Curious to see how this race will end out.
So turning over now, 7 laps to go. Upcoming events here on Racecraft TV with the Core Racing Vintage Cup Series. Tomorrow night, we're at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to finish out their regular season, cut off their playoffs, and begin it at Pocono on May 24th. We are here every single week for the next couple of weeks here for both Premier Series and Vintage Cup Series action from all around the iRacing service. For Premier Series, we begin the playoffs with Xfinity cars at Five Flags, then Pro Mazdas at Canadian Tire, then the GT3 cars at the Daytona Road Course for the first round of the playoffs. Second round will be the Daytona prototypes at Mount Panorama, Super Late Models at North Wilkesboro, and the 410 Sprint cars at Eldora. Then the fan-voted finale race on July 11th will round out the season for the Core Racing Premier Series. The Vintage Cup Series, we begin the playoffs with Pocono on May 24th, then Phoenix Raceway, New Hampshire Motor Speedway to round out round 1. Round 2, Daytona, Atlanta, and Richmond, and the final round in Kansas. We will have a weekend break in between the second round, the ending of round 2 of the playoffs for both series and the final round. So we'll have an off week in between those. But other than that, we are here every single Sunday and Monday for Core Racing League action on Racecraft TV. 5 laps to go from the virtual Michigan International Speedway. Carl Handwerk trying to grab his 5th win of the season and overtake Nick Nickerson in the win column and grab those extra bonus points before we enter the playoffs. 4 laps to go. Lap time comparison for Handwerk shows actually something interesting. Bennett Allen has been closing the gap but too slow, Jordan, because we're reaching 3 laps to go. The gap is still 7 seconds. He's going to need to make up roughly about 2.5 seconds per lap if he wants to try and catch Carl Handwerk up in front.
You know, Handwerk just seems bad fast here tonight, so if it happens, it'd be a miracle, but Josh, I really think Handwerk's got his 5th win in the bag.
Last 5 laps, Foster now, who takes over P2 from Bennett Allen, has made up about a second per lap. It's not going to be enough. He's going to need to make up 3 seconds per lap, even more than that, if he wants to try and catch up to Carl Handwerk now, as Handwerk comes back to the front straightaway. Take 2 laps to go here in the Core Racing Premier Series. Battles further back. That's the battle between Bennett Allen. Now Kevin Foster overtakes that spot. Adam Jones sits further back. Small battle between Chris Hamilton and Dylan McDonald back here for P number 5 on the racetrack. McDonald trying to take home a top 5 in the 38. Goes down to the inside. Is he going to be able to rotate it down there? Unfortunately, no, he's not. He'll stay in second place. Through turns 3 and 4 to take the white flag. Carl Handwerk in the 18. A great day for him. Just needs one more lap here from Michigan. White flag is out one more time around the Michigan International Raceway for Carl Handwerk in the 18 to grab 5 wins here in the regular season before we cut it off for the playoffs to begin in 1 week's time. Down the back straightaway for the final time. It has been the story of Carl Handwerk and Nick Nickerson all season long. Nick Nickerson did not start this race, so that gave Carl Handwerk a completely open door for 5 wins, 25 playoff points to enter the playoffs with. Off turn 4, the 18 of Carl Handwerk takes the win at the virtual Michigan International Speedway. A great day for the 18 of Carl Handwerk to grab the win in the final race of the regular season. Kevin Foster comes home in second place. 2 playoff drivers finishing 1 and 2 to enter the playoffs next week. And I believe your final 2 spots in the playoffs with their finishes tonight will belong to Mark Thomas and Eric Andrews. Burning it down at the Michigan International Speedway, Carl Handwerk. Carl Handwerk with an amazing race at the virtual Michigan International Speedway. I'll show you your full results here in just a moment from the Michigan International Speedway as the regular season for the Core Racing Premier Series finishes off at one of NASCAR's fastest tracks. Taking home the win here tonight at the Core Racing Premier Series, Carl Handwerk grabs the win. Kevin Foster in second place. Bennett Allen, Adam Jones, Chris Hamilton rounds out your top 5. Dylan McDonald, Matt Crockett, Eric Andrews, Derek Sherman, and David Castelli your top 10. Jimmy Covert, Joshua Belitter, Mark Thomas, Patrick Cooney, Paul Owens, Paul Butler, Zachary Green, Mason Smith, Tim Thompson, and Wesley Fuller rounds out your complete field of drivers from the virtual Michigan International Speedway. We'll grab an interview with your race winner, Carl Handwerk, as we'll bring him up into the commentary box. Carl Handwerk, welcome to the Racecraft TV commentary booth, and what a win. 5 wins now on the season as we enter the playoffs. How did that one feel?
Good. That one felt good, and that one, I wanted to test and practice kind of what it felt taking 2 tires after a full run, and it really felt, if anything, it felt good. I mean, it made the car a little bit loose, but it made it rotate through those corners really well, and that's kind of what paid off. I just mentioned kind of the lap before Adam pit. I said to Mark, I'm like, Adam's going to be the one that we're going to be worried about here. And, sure enough, he pit, and then Mark pit in the next lap. I'm like, you know what? I'm not getting undercut. So I came in probably about 5 laps before I had to, and grabbed those 2 tires and just drove that thing home. I mean, it felt good the whole race, though.
And now that we're heading into the playoffs, the focus is undoubtedly going to shift. I want to know, what is your strategy heading into the playoffs next week? Because we have 2 3-race rounds and then the championship, and obviously you got to make it through the rounds if you want to have an opportunity at the championship. Are you going to take it round by round, race by race, or are you going to be dead set focused on that championship trying to take it home?
I think it's still, kind of the second half of the regular season, if you want to call it that, for me. I mean, especially going into the playoffs with 25 bonus points, that's definitely going to be a big help. So it'll allow me to be maybe a little bit more conservative. I mean, obviously, I'd love to grab a win in the first round to carry over, 5 bonus points or more if I, happen to grab more than 1 win to help me get through that second round. But, I mean, all in all, I'm decent at the road courses. I'm definitely not the top guys in here, but I think I can hold my own. So that's gonna kind of be the plan. I'm gonna go maybe a little harder on the first race, just to maybe get myself a little buffer. That way, if I just end up trashing it with the Pro Mazdas at Mosport or the GT3s at Daytona, at least I got that little bit of buffer. And then we'll take second round when it gets there.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here in the commentary box, Carl. Anybody else you would like to thank before we send you off?
Yeah, I want to thank. I had to raise on the car tonight, and I was Demand More 60. So at least we got the one of the sponsors out there in the victory lane. But thank Eric Andrews for sponsoring the race also, and thank Wooden Nickel Woodworking. Thank you guys, Racecraft TV. You guys put on an awesome job every time. And Joka Graphics. I mean, he's the one that painted this beautiful car tonight. So thank him. Thank all the sponsors. Thank all the guys that helped me do this. This is awesome week in and week out.
Well, thank you so much for joining us up here in the commentary box. That was your winner, Carl Handwerk, here at the virtual Michigan International Speedway. And time winding down, of course, here in the post-race show. And we do want to get you your playoff standings, or I should say playoff grid, as we enter into the first round of the playoffs. Everybody is going to be watching these 12 as they get started here in the Core Racing Premier Series playoffs. The entire regular season leading up to this moment. And Jordan Hicks, those 12 names now up on everybody's broadcast. Who are you watching as the championship favorite? Because these are 12 bad fast names.
Josh, I want to keep my eyes on Mark Thomas in the 50 because we saw him previously early in this race, and he was running some pretty good laps, but I'm also keeping my eyes on Carl Handwerk and Nick Nickerson as the top 2 right there, as they are 2 bad fast racers. So therefore, to wrap it all up, I'm going to keep my eyes on the 2 of Nick Nickerson and to see if he can take home the series win.
Will he be able to, is the big question that is on everybody's mind. Handwerk and Nickerson have been the fastest all season long. Will they be able to hold on through 6 races and 2 rounds of grueling playoff action? Thank you for joining us here on Racecraft TV for the final race of the Core Racing Premier Series regular season. Join us when the playoffs begin in 1 week's time with the Xfinity cars at 5 Flags. For Jordan Hicks, I'm Joshua Lee. We will crown a champion in 7 rounds. Who will it be?